If OK Boomer was a digital assistant like OK Google, what sort of answers would it give you to certain questions? Story 1. OK Boomer, directions to 5th and Montgomery? We don't need a map. I know where it is. Waits a minute. I used to be a courier running rural routes. Ended up in this podunk town trying to find a rural route's address. These are post office addresses, not street addresses, and the post office would not tell us where the house was located because we were the competition. I stopped at the only store or gas station in town. Town was this store, a feed and hardware store, and a bar. Everyone stops what they're doing and turns to look at me when I walk in. No smeg. This town is nowhere near a highway. They don't get many out-of-town visitors. I ask where so-and-so at this address lives. The cashier stared at me for the longest time, then tells me to take the road west out of town for so many miles and take a right at the old Johnson barn, then down another mile on the left. I ask what color the barn is. She tells me the barn is gone. I'm supposed to take a right where the old Johnson barn used to be. That was a joke. I've heard a comedian use that joke before as some kind of thing. I know I've heard it. But I think a lot of us would be literally lost without our phones. I probably would. We'd have to go back to paper maps and learning how to read those. Story 2. Oh, my deity, this drives me insane. The most mundane question sets off a 15-minute history of the population of your hometown. Hey, Dad, where did you go this afternoon? Well, you remember John Wright? He's Big Jim's daddy. You know, Big Jim, he used to work at the gas station right by Delmer's. Well, it used to be that Delmer's, now it's a Sears, but Big Jim was Jason's brother. Jason, whose sister's daughter was that boy in your class's mom. The boy who got in trouble when he robbed that feed store. Anyway, John wanted me to look at some land he wanted to buy. It's downright next to Margaret Shore's old house. You know Margaret. He lost me at John Wright, and the guy who robbed the feed store was in my sister's class, who is 10 years my senior. Edit. Look, I understand the sentiment from a lot of replies saying, he just wants to talk to you. He loves you. Have empathy and all. And I agree with that sentiment in general, but please trust that I know my dad, and that is not the place where this rambling is coming from in his case. I could just imagine. Well, I think some people complain that I take a little too long when I make my comments on these videos, so I think some of that might be directed at me. You know, that reminds me of Story 3. Okay, Boomer. Engineering job listings in my area. Job listings? You're just playing around on the internet. Figure out where you want to work and go down there. Ask to speak with a manager. Shake his hand. Look him in the eye and ask for a job. Edit. This post brought to you by painful memories of job hunting during the 2008 recession. My dad was getting on my case every day about playing on the computer when I was checking job sites and going through their infuriating sites that make me upload my resume, then fill in fields that are on my resume 3 different times. Someone in the comments below dropped the classic, "Pound the pavement," and I felt my blood pressure spike. Thanks. Everyone was saying pound the pavement. Then a pandemic hit, and these people were still complaining that you weren't out there finding a job, even though it was kind of preventing you. Oh, that was so frustrating. People just don't know how much of it is online and how much that is the case. Ugh. Story 4. Okay, Boomer, wake me up at 6. Wakes you up at 5. Get up, it's 6. Okay, Boomer, how's the weather today? Open the window and stick your arm out. Is it wet? That must mean it's raining. Is it cold? Put on a sweater. Try figuring things out on your own, kiddo. Okay, Boomer, what's the weather like? Why don't you go out for a walk and see for yourself? Story 5. My dad's problem is more that he's way too fracking slow. I've literally seen an exchange that went something like this when he wanted Alexa to play Man on the Silver Mountain by Rainbow. Dad: Alexa. Alexa starts listening. Dad: massive pause as he realizes he doesn't actually know what he wants to ask her. Alexa: sorry, I didn't catch that. Dad: Alexa. Alexa starts listening. Dad: play me. Alexa: sorry, I didn't catch that. Dad: Alexa, shut the frack up and listen for a second. Alexa: sorry, I don't understand. Dad: Alexa? Alexa starts listening. Dad: play me Man. Alexa starts searching for man. Dad: on the... Alexa: sorry, I couldn't find that in your library. Story 6. I had a phone interview today, and the guy asked me, how can you tell if an email is not legit or contains a virus? And I said, well, for the average user, you can't. Most people would look at an email address and assume that's where it's coming from, because while spoofing emails isn't that common, if someone's spear phishing, they can make it look convincing. And he said, no, I'm asking how you tell if an email isn't legit or has a virus. What steps would you take to determine if an email was safe? And I said, if I had to dig further to find out whether an email is legit, I would have to look at the email header and determine whether the information there matches with the domain DNS. Maybe there's a DKIM key. Maybe the MX record points to one server and the email was received from another. There are many other factors we can use. For example, call the sender on your phone and see if they sent you something, if it doesn't sound like an email they normally send you. And then he said, no, that's not what we're looking for. Why didn't you just do a virus scan on the computer? That tells you right away if there's a virus. I'm at a total loss of words. I forgot that not opening email attachments from suspicious sources isn't the default thing that people do. I remember that growing up. We've all opened that one email attachment early on in our online life, haven't we? We all have. I remember that, and we learned that lesson really quickly. We need to teach it to our adults. Story 7. Okay, Boop, by your age, I had a house, car, and $50K in savings. You need to stop asking for handouts. My dad knocked up my mom right before he deployed for his first year in the military. Thus, they lived on base housing. No rent, utilities, etc. They basically paid for food and stuff to keep us kids entertained. My mom worked, but that's because my dad is very stingy with his money. Her and my dad all the time. Well, when I was your age, I had 2 kids, I lived out on my own, and I was paying for all of my own stuff. No student loan debt, no real bills, no heavy expenses. Of course, when I point this out to them, they tell me that I should have gone into the military. I fracking hate the military. Edit to add, that's a lot of upvotes. And I'm nervous, y'all. Having said this, please be respectful to people who are actively serving or who have retired from serving our country. While they chose a life path I disagree with, they do not deserve hate. We're all just good little beings trying to make it in this crazy world. Have a wonderful day, you beautiful creatures. Story 8. My grandma has full-on conversations with Siri. Hello, Siri. What is the name of the museum in Maryland that's getting written up in the... Siri. Here is a list of museums in Maryland. Grandma. Washington Post. What did she just say? Siri, what did you say? I can't stand this woman. Siri. Siri. Did you want to see articles from the Washington Post? Grandma. No, I would not. I would like to know the name of the museum that was written up there. Siri. 3 dots. Grandma. Oh, for heaven's sake, how do you talk to this batty woman? Story 9. You. Okay, Boomer. It didn't work. Couldn't get buzzed in through the security door. Also, the manager isn't on site and works remote from another city. Also, they don't hire directly, so you have to apply to the staffing agency first. Also, the position advertised through the staffing agency isn't really open because they've already selected someone internally and only posted it to meet regulations. Boomer, you're just making excuses. Again, related to the job search, I am grateful that I have the career that lets me work remotely and I have great people that I work with. But getting there was a nightmare, and there were a lot of issues like this, and not to mention all the scams I had to go through as well. People don't know. They don't.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 10. Okay, Boomer, open YouTube. How? Can you show me? Always quickly followed up with, oh, I know how to use computers. I knew how before anybody else did. I'm not dumb, you know. As accusatory as possible for absolutely no reason when you fix the problem in under 2 minutes. Story 11. Okay, Boomer, how can I pay for college? Write a check like I did. I once got in an online debate with my uncle about this very subject. His argument was that he worked a minimum wage job to put himself through college and support his family, so we youngsters should quit complaining. To prove my point, I calculated how many hours it would take at current minimum wage just to pay current tuition at his alma mater, and it was over 100 hours per week. He was so angry that a year and a half later, he still had the date of that argument memorized and cited it as an example of my disrespectful attitude. Millennial proves a point using math. Boomer, stop disrespecting me. Story 12. Okay, Boomer, what's on TV right now? We only watch the news and Wheel of Fortune in this house. No Jeopardy? Shame. Story 13. Okay, Boomer, call my husband. Only if you tell me when I'm going to get grandkids. It's about time. I'm dreading my family coming to mine for Christmas this year because of this reason. It'll be even worse this time around as we recently brought a dog, or as they like to call it, a practice child. Story 14. Okay, Boomer, volume up. What? You want to become deaf? Don't sit so close to the TV. It'll ruin your eyesight. Story 15. Okay, Boomer, set a reminder for December 11th. Doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. See, that's the problem with you millennials. You're too dependent on smartphones for everything. Why are you setting up a doctor's appointment anyway? If you're not expiring, you don't need to go to the hospital. Back in my day, you don't go to the doctors when you feel sick. You do what real men do and tough it out. Only sissy Nancy boys go to the doctors for feeling sick. Real men only go to the doctors when they have real problems, like getting stabbed through the abdomen with a rusty bayonet from the VC or contracted syphilis from a Saigon hussy. Story 16. Okay, Boomer. Open Indeed. You don't need Indeed. Just walk in and give a firm handshake to the entitled brat. And while you're at it, you can send out resumes in the mail. I bet you don't even know what stamps are, you avocado toast-eating millennial. And to top it all off, in my first interview, the HR guy tried asking me technical questions and said that if it weren't for my friend's recommendation, he wouldn't have passed me to the next round of interviews. The reason he thought I didn't know enough for the job is because he didn't have a clue about what he was asking. I was trying to be polite and give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he knew more than I did, but no. He was just an idiot with my future in his hands. My buddy was ticked and reamed him out for asking things he doesn't even know the answer to. Seriously, good luck. It's smeggy out there. Story 17. Okay, Boomer, restaurants nearby. We have food at home. My parents, prime boomers, drove from Tennessee to Washington State. They routed to as many Cracker Barrels as possible. They're confused and sad that there isn't a single one within driving distance of Seattle. They also insisted on driving an hour north of Seattle to go to Walmart for some random smeg that was readily available nearby. They're categorically insane. Boomers love chain restaurants. My hometown Facebook news page is full of people complaining about another dollar store or urgent care opening up. We don't need another dollar store. How about a Wendy's, Applebee's, or Taco Bell? Story 18. Okay, Boomer, where's the nearest car mechanic? What, you can't fix your car yourself? Kids these days. Boomer, my engine literally just exploded. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Try not mumbling. Enunciate your words. Right. Okay, Boomer. What's the number for my insurance company? You don't have it memorized? Sad. Where would you be without your smartphones and iTablet thingies? You know what? Never mind. I'll just walk. Thanks, Boomer. Walking. Finally, a good idea. Exercise. You're all so chubby. Don't eat right with all that Chipotle Bell stuff. And it's thank you, not thanks. And my response is, you're welcome. Not that ridiculous no problem you all do. Okay, Boomer, please stop now. Don't you tell me to be quiet. Have some respect for your elders. When I was your age, I owned a house. Story 19. Okay, Boomer, look up therapists near me. Have you tried thinking positive thoughts? In my place, it actually goes like this. Me. Can I please get into counseling or get a therapist? Boomers. Have you tried praying and asking for God to help you? In my day, our therapist was your granddad's belt. If we were caught sulking, Dad would whoop it out of us. If you saw the neighbor kid getting whooped in the front yard, you just assumed he did something to deserve it. Story 20. One time, my mom FaceTimed me and swapped the camera, so the whole call, all I could see was her feet. Mom, don't you think it's weird that you're looking at me on the screen and there's a little movie about feet in the corner? Is the world so weird to you that it doesn't register as a mistake of some kind? It was hilarious. P.S. She was born in 37, so pre-Boomer. Story 21. Okay, Boomer, set my alarm for 9 a.m. tomorrow. 9? Are you sure? I see in your calendar that your flight board's at 10:30, and taking into account how it takes 30 minutes to get to the airport, that only leaves you with 1 hour to make it to your gate on time. Why don't I set your alarm for 5 a.m. instead, or maybe 6 if you really want to sleep in? Story 22. Okay, Boomer, where's the nearest gas station? Okay, so you're going to want to drive past that building that used to be the old dentist office. Take a right at the large yellow house. Keep going until you see that sign for the restaurant we went to last year, and then take a left. If you've reached the place where Tim Hortons used to be, then you've gone too far. See, I knew I heard someone using it as a joke. Story 23. Okay, Boomer, call an ambulance. Oh, don't be so entitled. You can walk to the hospital yourself. My legs have been torn off. Have you tried not tearing your legs off? Story 24. Okay, Boomer, tell me a joke. You snowflakes get offended over everything. You can't even take a joke. Okay, Boomer. What did you say, you little smeg? Story 25. Okay, Boomer, the job market is so competitive. How can I get a job? You just need gumption. Proceeds to talk about how they got a job from just walking in and demanding it. Story 26. Okay, Boomer, can you please autofill my credit card details on this site? What? You want to give your details to a stranger? Are you nuts? Just go drive a half hour to the store and buy it in person. It's safer that way. Story 27. We were in a whole different state, and the person, Boomer, driving, wanted to go to a restaurant she had been to once 2+ years ago, and she insisted that my Google Maps and my friend's Apple Maps were wrong and continued getting us more lost. She kept saying, I remember it was near the library, and then you have to turn onto the interstate. Story 28. Okay, Boomer, what's the capital of Iraq? Well, back in my day, we looked things up in an encyclopedia. Damn millennials, so obsessed with their phones. Do you even know how to use a card catalog? Okay, Boomer, what's a card catalog? Story 29. Okay, Boomer, where's the nearest recycling center? We have trash cans. Just throw it out the car window. The chain gang will pick it up.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.